Here we are with Module 3.5, the last part of our Module 3 part. Now, where to find the shows? There's a directory of podcasters that is given to you, or actually you can buy it from Steve Olsher. Joe Saba has a directory of radio shows. Joe unfortunately passed away recently, but his directory is still available, and I will give you those links at the end of this program. But there are ways that you can find them. Now, let me tell you something. It is tough to get through all of these. I did this. And when I was looking to do radio shows, I went through this. I must have had, I'm not kidding, 200 to 300 shows that I contacted. And I had like a spreadsheet on all of them. And then I ended up doing the same thing with the TV shows. But I got smarter. I did them by city after that, because naturally, if I was going to do a TV show, I had to be in that city. So through the directory of podcasters, you're going to find that. And, those are really radio shows. But some of the podcasters are now doing video. So that's a part of that as well. And remember, they are looking for more of who you are, not what you do. And they're looking for status above mine. So they're paying a lot of attention to what your background is and what you bring to the whole show. And I've mentioned this enough. I don't have to go into this, but this is where you're really going to have to pay attention. Now, because you are going to do this media tour, or because you're going to be on these shows, you are going to spend money to get there. They do not pay to fly you in. And so what happens is, for example, if you want to do a show in Albuquerque, you're going to pay your expenses from wherever you are to Albuquerque and back. More than likely, you're going to have a hotel room overnight, because you're going to have to be there for the morning. And you're going to have whatever meals and transportation expenses you have, whether you Uber it or whether you rent a car or however you get there. That's going to be your responsibility. Now, let me tell you what happens with all of this. You can spend the money to get there. And if there is some major crisis in the news, in other words, something really has happened, like a hurricane or an earthquake or some kind of medical emergency or something, you may be bumped off. And yes, you have spent all that money and you will not be on. And they can't necessarily book you the next day because they already have it booked and planned. So you may be out close to $1,500. That's why when I talked about the media tour and going from, let's say, Albuquerque to Phoenix to whatever the other Southwest cities are that you want to hit, it's got to make sense financially that you can go on an airline and go from city to city to city to city for a practical amount of money. Now, I do know people who do media tours right across the country, and they'll go to 10, 12, 15, 20 different stations promoting their book or their latest theory or their latest whatever. And I will tell you, it's going to cost them a pretty penny. Usually it's somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000. And they are often out of pocket if they get to a place where they're taken off the air because something major has happened. And believe me, it has happened. And let me tell you what also happens in this situation. I was booked to do a show in one of the cities, one of the Southwest cities. And I was supposed to be on at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was flying out that afternoon before. I mean, I had plenty of time, but there was some kind of weather problem. And I had 3 planes cancel. I had a 1 o'clock cancel, a 4 o'clock cancel, and I already could see the handwriting on the wall. So I was trying to get a hold of the station, but of course, they're not in at that time. They've already gone home. So finally, I was booked on a flight. It was leaving at something like 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. I was going to get in at, I don't know, 11:30 because of the change in time. It wasn't going to be 1:30 in the morning. It was going to be like 11:30, but who knew? So I called the station and I did not get a hold of anyone because nobody was there. I kept calling and calling and calling. And finally, I got some kind of engineer. And I told them, I said, look, I'm supposed to be on this show at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I don't think it happened because I'm stuck here and the planes aren't flying. We're fogged in. The weather is terrible. And I know I can't get out until early in the morning and it probably will be too late. How can I get a hold of the producer? Well, believe it or not, they got me to the assistant producer. I told her. She was very nice about it, but I can tell you that show never booked me again. I didn't get on it at all because I didn't get there when I was supposed to be there. And they had a bridge they had to build because my segment for 3 minutes was not going to be on. Now, was that fair to me? I don't think so. But look, I'm not running the show. So that can happen. And I need you to be aware that every single segment I have been on has cost me between $1,000 to $1,500 between the food, the transportation, the air, the hotel, and that's the way it is. And that's why I always try to tie it in with a speech that I'm giving, or maybe I'm doing a consulting assignment, or maybe I'm coaching someone in person. Whatever it is, I try to make sure that it's covered because it's a lot of money. So I just want to prepare you and I want to warn you this is what happens, and you need to be prepared for it. And you can't be upset and start crying about it because it is going to happen eventually. If you book a lot of shows, this is what happens.